So again, you have the toolbars and everything, and here's the next graphic part, the logo. And this is probably easiest done with the pen tool, so I'm just going to click once just to zoom into it so you can see it. Try to remember the pen is the stroke, and here's the piece. The cap locks key changes it to an X or a pen nib, and it's kind of nice depending on which way you like to work with it. So just for this C in the back, I'm just going to click and drag the handles out. The shift key keeps them horizontal, and if I come down to where the part would be approximately, and clicking here, so you can see this purple line is called a smart guide. It'll show up when you're just at the point above this point itself. So that way you can click and drag, holding the shift key out to get the handles. The fill I'm going to take off and come up here again. So here it's going to let me line up this one. I'm assuming that they wanted it to be lined up pretty well. So that becomes this outer stroke. When you take a look at the stroke panel, I can increase the thickness of it. And I'm going to, again, assume that they wanted it to be the same thickness to it. Then I'm going to come down into the letter C. And on this one, I'm going to click right in the middle of that section there. And that lets me click those pieces right there. On this one, it looks as if just moving it over, looks as if there's a thin and a thick stroke to it. So I can decrease the point size to it a little bit and come down to what they call a profile and increase that part a little. If I increase this section, it kind of gives it a thin and thick stroke, just like in the animation part. If these need to be thinner, thicker, there's a tool right here. It's called the width tool. When I click on that, this allows me to grab the end points and the anchor points to stretch them out. When you click on it, it'll make it a little bit larger. So when you come down here, you'll see it says anchor and draws this a little bit bigger. If I come in here, they're already set up from the profile, so I can extend this a little bit larger. And that allows me to make that shape. These two items, they're two separate items, just moving them so you can see them, and Command Z to undo them. I want to select the both, so if you click and draw a selection box around any part of it, they're both selected and object under group or Command G. So now when I just grab one of them, they both come. Okay? So that's a quick way to do the first part. The ampersand has is the overextended part of that piece. So I'm going to take the pen tool again and try to draw this part out. And every time I go, I click, I find the midpoint of this to send this part off to the top. As it comes to the midpoint, you're trying to find the distance between the circle or that curve and extend it out. So I'm going to the midpoint of this curve to drag this out and coming down here. So essentially I'm kind of going around the entire piece. This curve right here, kind of find the midpoint, drag the handles out, come to this section, drag the handles out. You can see it's the midpoint gives it a nicer, more graceful curve to it. Here it's a little tighter, so I'm just going to stretch the handles out just a little bit. I'll zoom in so you can see it. And now go up. And I can even go to the end just to see if that's going to be enough, and it looks like it's going to be perfect. So that's the image right there. Now I can go to the stroke panel and increase the stroke a little bit. And then the only part that's left is this ellipse. So I'm going to click at the top and drag the handles out to start the curve and come down to the bottom and do the same. When I get back to the top, I'm going to click and hold the mouse down to make that curve. And that gives me this piece. The only thing that I didn't do is fill this in, so I'm going to click on it and go ahead and fill it white And you can see that it's over the top of this. If I click on the C, I can click on this to fill it white, and it'll fill that piece right back there. Okay. Again, I'm going to click off this background layer so the scan disappears. I'm going to hit the Tab key. The letter F I'm going to hit once, then twice, and now I can take a screenshot. Command-Shift-4, let go of the mouse. There's the cursor. There's a registration mark. Click and hold the mouse down. And if I need to recompose this, I can hold the space bar down to give myself a little more space and let go. And what happens is when I click the tab and go to the Finder, I click on the desktop, which is the screenshot, and take a look at the piece that I just took. I click on the space bar, and that's the logo. In the name, I just click once, and I can highlight this and give it a title. So I put the AC for the package in that part. That's a PNG file that I can then upload. So here it is again. The F key brings me back to the window, and the Tab key brings the tabs back.